Welcome to this channel. Here we are going to talk about the stories of our Holy Bible. And today's story will be about Abimelech's ambition, so let's go. Abimelech, son of Gideon, went to the city of Shechem, where all his mother's relatives lived. He asked them to ask the men of Shechem, "Which do you prefer, to be ruled by the 70 sons of Gideon or by one man? Remember that Abimelech is of the same blood as you." So his mother's relatives told the men of Shechem about it, and they decided to follow Abimelech because he was their relative. They gave him 800 grams of silver taken from the temple of Balberite. With that silver Abimelech hired some common men to follow him. Abimelech went to his father's house in Ophrah, and there, on one stone, he killed his 70 brothers, the sons of Gideon. But Jotham, the younger son, hid himself and was not killed. So all the men of Shechem and Beth Millo assembled at the sacred tree of Shechem, and there they made Abimelech their king. When Jotham heard of this, he went up to the top of Mount Gerizim and called out to them, "Men of Shechem, listen to me, and God will listen to you." Then Jotham said, Once the trees decided to look for a king for them. Then they said to the olive tree, "Be our king." And the olive tree replied, "To govern you, I would have to stop giving my oil, which is used to honor gods and human beings." Then the trees asked the fig tree, "Come be our king." But the fig tree replied, "To rule you, I would have to stop giving my very sweet figs." Then the trees said to the vine, "Come be our king." But the vine replied, "To govern you, I would have to stop giving my wine, which makes gods and human beings happy." Then all the trees asked the thorn tree, "Come be our king." And the thorn bush replied, "If you really want to make me your king, come and stay under my shade. If you do not do this, fire will come out of the thorn bush and burn the cedars of Lebanon." And Jotham continued, "Were you sincere and honest when you made Abimelech a king? And did you treat Gideon and his family decently and according to what he deserved? Remember that my father fought for you. He risked his life to save them from the Midianites. But today you are against my father's family. You killed your 70 children on one stone." And afterwards they made his son Abimelech, who is the son of a female slave, king of Shechem. You did this only because he is your relative. Now, if what you did today with Gideon and his family was sincere and honest, then be happy with Abimelech, and may he be happy with you. But if not, let fire come out of Abimelech and burn the men of Shechem and Beth Millo. And let fire go out from the men of Shechem and Beth Millo and burn Abimelech. Then Jotham fled and went to live in Beer because he was afraid of his brother Abimelech. Abimelech ruled over the people of Israel for 3 years. So God made Abimelech and the men of Shechem hate each other. And they revolted against Abimelech. This was so that Abimelech and the men of Shechem, who had helped him kill the 70 sons of Gideon, would pay for their crime. The inhabitants of Shechem sent men hidden on top of the mountains to kill Abimelech. They assaulted everyone who passed that way. And Abimelech heard of it. Gaal son of Ebed went with his brothers to Shechem, and the men there trusted him. They went to their fields, picked grapes and made wine. So they had a party. Then they entered the temple of their god, ate, drank, and cursed Abimelech. Then Gaal said, "Why are we being dominated by Abimelech? What kind of men are we, the men of Shechem? And who is he? He is the son of Gideon. However, Zebul takes orders from him. Why should we be dominated by him? Be faithful to your ancestor Hamor, the father of Shechem. Oh! If I were the leader of this people, he would drive Abimelech out and say, 'Since your army is so big, then go out and fight.'" Zebul, the governor of the city, was very angry when he heard what Gaal had said. And he sent messengers to Abimelech, who was in Arumah, to say to him, "Gaal son of Ebed and his brothers have come to Shechem and are stirring up the people of the city against you. So do the following: during the night you and your men go out and hide in the fields. Tomorrow rise at sunrise and raid the city. And when Gaal and his men go out to fight, attack with everything you've got. So Abimelech and all his men went out during the night and hid outside Shechem, divided into 4 groups. Gaal got up and went to the city gate. Then Abimelech and his men came out of hiding. When Gaal saw them, he said to Zebul, "Look! People are coming down from the top of the mountains." But Zebul replied, "They're not men. They are the shadows of the mountains." But Gaal said, "Look! People are coming down right in front of us, and a group is coming from the sacred tree." Then Zebul said, "Where did all your talk go? Wasn't it you who asked why we should serve Abimelech? For these are the men you were making fun of. Get out now and fight them." Then Gaal went out in front of the men of Shechem and fought Abimelech. Abimelech attacked him, and Gaal fled. Many men fell wounded, even near the city gate. So Abimelech returned to Arumah, and Zebul went to Shechem and drove Gaal and his brothers away from there. The next day the people of Shechem went out into the fields. And Abimelech heard about it. So he divided his men into 3 groups and left them hidden in the field, waiting. When Abimelech saw the people leaving the city, he came out of hiding and killed them. Abimelech and his group attacked by surprise and took over the city gate. The other 2 groups attacked the people in the fields and killed them all. Abimelech fought the men of the city all day. He took the city and killed its residents. So he destroyed the city and scattered salt on the ground. When the leaders of the Tower of Shechem heard about this, they all went to the temple fortress of Baalberite to be safe. But Abimelech heard that they were gathered there. Then he went up Mount Salmon with his men. He took an axe, cut a tree branch and put it on his shoulder. He told the men to quickly do the same thing. And each of them cut a branch from a tree. Then they followed Abimelech and made a pile of branches against the fortress. Then they set fire to the branches and burned the fortress with everyone inside. Thus died all the inhabitants of the Tower of Shechem, about 1,000 men and women. Then Abimelech went to Thebes, besieged the city and conquered it. At Thebes there was a strong tower. All the men and women and leaders of the city ran and entered it. They closed the doors and went out onto the terrace. Abimelech advanced, attacked the tower, and reached the gate to set fire to it. But a woman threw a millstone at his head and broke her skull. Then he quickly called the young man who was carrying his weapons and said, "Draw your sword and kill me. I don't want people to say I was killed by a woman." So the boy drew his sword and killed him. When the Israelites saw that Abimelech was dead, they all returned home. And so God punished Abimelech for the crime he had committed against his father, the crime of killing his 70 brothers. And as a punishment for the wickedness of the men of Shechem, God caused them to suffer. And so came to pass what Jotham, the son of Gideon, had said would happen when he cursed them. If you liked this video, don't forget to leave your like.